Before we get into today's episode, I've created a short questionnaire that will help me get to know you better. Those that fill out the questionnaire will get entered into a draw to win an Amazon gift card. So there's a link in the description for the episode. Click it, fill out the questionnaire, and I look forward to hearing your feedback. Now for today's episode. This is the Michael Brian Show. Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. And today I'm joined with Denis Kaser, who is the head of international marketing at Gruyère, which is essentially a Swiss-made cheese. I'm going to get into that later, but it's won best cheese in the world multiple times. So all things cheese today. Denis, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for the invitation. Yeah, we'll have some time to talk about what is being named and called the best cheese in the world, the Gruyère AOP.
I thought we'd start actually with your obsession with travel, and I hear that you've actually eaten lobster quite a bit. So you travel and eat a lot of lobster, so I'm told. So talk to us a bit about your obsession with that.
I don't know who told you that, but yeah, I'm a lobster freak. I'm a food passionate, and as I travel around the world, I have that chance. Traveled more than 58 countries today. One of my things is to discover the beauty of food, and I have a favorite called lobster. Yeah, that's true.
So how do you like yours then? So you walk in, you sit down, and you look at the menu and think, oh, they do lobster. Do you have like a favorite? Do you have a way that you like it cooked and sauces, that kind of thing?
The best way is probably just grilled with lemon and butter. That's the way I appreciate it. Keep it simple. Every food product should be eaten for their real taste. Don't add any artificial flavor. And I believe that lobster shows something fantastic about seafood. So just grilled, add some butter, add some lemon, and enjoy it.
Now, with things like wine or coffee, normally there's like a way of tasting it. So with wine, you smell it, sip it, that kind of thing. Do you have any particular rituals with lobster? You've eaten quite a lot, so I imagine you've perfected some kind of way of actually consuming it.
Lobster is a difficult product just to taste as wine on an organoleptic point of view. What make lobster different is just the taste of his flesh. Yeah, that's the way you said. Taste of the flesh. And I have to admit that North American lobster are probably the best one I had in my life.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask next. Is there the best place? So it's North America is the favorite.
Yeah, it is definitely with the homard bleu de Bretagne, the blue hammer from Bretagne. But my favorite ones are probably the one I had in Maine and in North America.
Where's the best place that you've traveled to? You've traveled quite a lot. Is there anything that stands out, any particular place that really inspired you or you really enjoyed being?
I feel home all around the world because I believe that when you travel, you need to discover the world and respect the people you meet. So um, I would say top first, top number one. I mean, I've been amazed about discovering Iceland, all this energy through volcanic places and the beauty of the country, this mixture of ice, fire, the mixture of fire and ice. So I would really put Iceland as number one. Then just going back home in Montana, it's my favorite place. I've grown up, graduated from high school in Montana, and going back is for me, yeah, it's home. And then I have to put on the list, I have to put Switzerland. So go to Iceland, Montana in the US, and Switzerland.
Very, very cool. So let's talk cheese then. I have a bit of a weird joke about cheese in that I wonder how long cheese actually takes to go off or inedible or something, because it makes me think of it's like, I guess it's to do with milk and cheese and butter and how it all mixes together. But there's a point where it solidifies, I guess you could say, it becomes cheese. And there's a bit of an ongoing joke around some of the people that I know. that cheese takes a long time to get to a point where you can't eat it anymore. Do you know how long that is, or does it depend from cheese to cheese?
Michael, we need to make a difference here. We need to make differences here between what we call industrial cheese and raw milk cheese, or what I would call handmade cheese. Back home in Switzerland, we have cheese that is over 100 years that's still eatable. Cheese is an alive product, so it will just change over the time. It will change, and on an organoleptic point of view, a very old cheese will go back to what I call go back to the animal, go back to the basic. So all the nutty, flavory, vanilla, flour taste that you have with young cheese that is 3 to 5 months will disappear with the time. So as long you bring the right, not conservation, but the right way of keeping the cheese, you can keep a cheese as long as you want. It's just the taste that will change because the cheese will mature, the cheese will refine. And back to our product, or to most of raw milk cheese, we have to agree that the apogee, the best time to have that type of cheese, is around 12 to 14 months.
Interesting. So what happens to the taste? Does it get, you mentioned that it goes back to the animal, maybe a bit more floury. Do things start to shift in a positive way, would you say? Or would you say it becomes more unpalatable as a cheese? I'm guessing it depends on what you use to make the cheese, but we can definitely discuss it. So what happens to cheese over time?
The positive thing is that it has taste. Taste is in this world, and everyone has a different taste with what you eat. Raw milk cheese and Gruyère AOP especially will start with a very flour, nutty, vanilla taste, what I call classicy, milky, fresh, young taste. And the most you refine it, the most time you give to that cheese, you will change to wild, what I call forest taste, humus, mushroomy. And from there on, once you pass those 14, 15 months, you'll go back to a very animal, unami taste that can be, to some, not nice to the palate. But there's a lot of people, very niche people, that are looking for that. It's astringent, and at the end, after 20, 22 months, you'll go back to something very tannic, very leather animal. It goes back to the barn. Tastes are all around the world. So make your choice, make you happy. That's the beauty of cheese. That's the beauty of Le Gruyère AOP, is that you have it for the full palate. For sure, we know that the classic, very milky, floury vanilla gives the more chance and the more possibilities in sales, and people are behind that. But then, if you go to all the cheese, you'll find that it can be a replacement of salt in cooking when you do gratin or things like that. So on the side of or instead of putting salt, lots of chefs actually are using that type of Gruyere, or the Gruyere, to bring the salt to their potato gratin, to their courgette gratin. And I think that's the beauty. That's the beauty of that product.
I do feel very, I guess, inspired by the variety of cheese. When you mentioned it replaces salt and you can have it with fruit, vegetables, there's a lot of things that you can do with cheese. And I guess it depends on the taste, it depends on how old the cheese is. There's so much variety with cheese, isn't there? It's almost unlimited the amount of things that you can do with it.
There's an unlimited. I mean, you can't make cheese with nothing else than milk. but you can make cheese out of every single milk in the world. That goes from cow to sheep to camel, camel to donkeys. As long as you have milk, you can convert it into milk. Then there are strict rules related to our cheese. We need cow milk, raw milk that brings and make the taste different. But around this world, you can make cheese in a different way, and it will always go through bringing and warming up the milk, adding rennet, cutting the curds and then bringing it into a salt bath. I mean, this procedure of making cheese is just all around the same. What makes the difference and what makes the taste difference and what makes this incredible palette of taste around the world with cheese is just the milk is different. And the milk is related to a terroir. And a terroir means to a specific place, a specific grass, a specific cow. And this is all kind of things that if you want to have a quality product, and we have a lot of cheese that we call cousin and not competitors. But talking about the Gruyère AOP, we have a very strict procedures related to the way we feed our cows and what they can, what they can't. So it's to guarantee this incredible taste. That's what we call the taste of Switzerland since 1115, because I believe deeply that when you have the same recipe and the same way of making something since 900 years, that means that people enjoy it.
Definitely. Yeah, I can't imagine there's many things that have stayed going for that long. It's such a rarity that something has sustained itself. I wonder, do you have any personal things that you simply shouldn't do with cheese? When I see some of the things that people do with cheese, I think, well, each to their own, but I'd never go near it. Is there anything that you don't like when people do that with cheese? You think it shouldn't be done that way. Why are you doing that? Is there anything that springs to mind?
I mean, you bring me to a funny anecdote or something I saw once. My boy was watching some YouTube internet. And it was like a crazy broadcast in somewhere north of America. I'm not gonna name it. And those guys were making fondue, so melted Gruyere, and they were looking for all the pairing possibilities that they could do with that fondue. And so they started with normal things, what we would pair, starting with bread, potatoes, vegetable, and then maybe moving a bit to different things. But the craziest that I saw, and it's probably what I would mention here, is they were doing fish. They were doing fish
Whoa.
fondue. Yeah, and I thought that the pairing was quite interesting. But maybe it's a matter of taste. What you like, you eat. Then respect what you want. Respect the product. The brilliant thing to that topic is that a good cheese and cheese is relevant in that matter. It offers a pairing possibility that is incredible. That goes to sweet, to ginger, with what we call bread. You can find lots of different pairing. We should never forget that cheese and pairing is a lot of time associated to the fact that cheese has no taste. The truth about pairing cheese with marmalade or jam or honey is that at the very beginning, those cheese had no taste. So we were a bit fighting against that because we believe that Gruyère AOP has a taste, a specific taste. But today we also believe that pairing is an association, is a culinary gastronomical association. And that's the reason why we're trying to do it with chocolate, with honey, with tea. Make it with tea and find that very interesting melting sensation that you have in your mouth. It makes it brilliant. So, back to your question, nothing crazy. I wouldn't use cheese. I use cheese at every single time of the day. It can be breakfast, it can be lunch, it can be dinner. So I would say there is no limit as long it makes you happy and bring you joy and emotion.
So what goes into the cheese that you guys make? You've been doing it a very long time. I'm picturing the recipe shifting over I can say centuries now. How strange is that? And there's probably a lot that goes into it. You mentioned everything from the cows that you choose to how you feed them becomes the milk that they produce, that sort of thing. So we do have a long time if it takes a long time. But Dennis, how do you actually create the cheese that you create?
So actually, I personally don't create anything. I'm related to a consortium that overrules 6,000 people. And we're 6,000 people in our association that makes cheese. And back to nature first. Um, no milk, no cheese. So no cows, no respect to the nature, no respect to the cows. We won't have the right milk to make the right product. So being an AOP product, there is a procedure behind that. It means that there's no silage, there is grass that has to be produced on the farm, and no antibiotics. The milk that is produced has to be delivered to a cheese maker no further than 15 miles. Lots of strict rules. Back to the story 900 years ago when they started. This is the truth about transforming milk into cheese was to have the only way at that time to conserve milk and not to throw it away. So that's how cheese appeared. That's the story about cheese. From there on, the recipe about Le Gruyère AOP is for sure a handcrafted traditional product that is given from family to family, from fathers to son, and so on since 900 years. And as it is not an industrial product, the handcraft, the hand part of the man is present at every single part of the production. So I start very early morning by milking cows, or late at night by milking cows, putting those two milks, the night milks that join the morning milk that goes into that goes to the cheese producer. And from there, there's only the experience of what we call cheesemaker master, because they're called master. They're not called cheesemaker. They have a master degree. It takes them 5 years to learn how to make cheese. And the good thing about this is to see that the new generation is not leaving the job. Today we have no problem in finding new new kids, kids interested. And this is probably related to the tradition, to the respect, and that people are proud of the product, proud of the region, and proud of the fact that when when consumer have that cheese in their hand, in their kitchen, they know there's human behind, there's quality behind, and this is a big proud. I believe it's a big proud. We're not the only one, as I say, we have cousins, we have there are other cheeses, but all handmade cheeses made with passion is a part of a history, mostly of a family. All the time there's a family behind. There's a respectful way of animals, of sustainability, and that's what we should keep in mind.
So it sounds like there's different processes for different results for the cheese. So if we think about maybe creamy, maybe floury, maybe salty, the different variations in the cheese, how far back would it have to go, let's say adjust a cheese to make it creamier? How far back would you have to take the process to get the result that you want? Because I mean, I have no idea. So I wonder what actually has to happen to the milk or to the cheese to change the taste slightly towards where you want it to be.
Okay, the basic is always the flour, the grass. You have spring grass, you have summer grass. Spring grass is richer than the grass that the animals receive in winter. It's been dried, that has been dried along the summer. That's the first thing. From there on, more animals are related with nature. You could imagine that an animal that has to fight against the cold or has to fight against warm or humidity doesn't allow its body to bring the same amount of fat quantities in the milk. So nature rules. That's the first thing to understand. It's not like pushing a button in an industry where you receive a milk and you add what you want. So that makes at the end the range of difference of taste. Then related to what you called creamy or uncreamy, it's the way that you produce cheese. All cheeses, mostly Swiss cheeses, have a different procedures. We are not known, or we are not the creamy cheese because it's not what we want in our procedure. You'll have other cheeses that you'll find the most creamy cheeses, but they don't contain more fat. It comes from the fact that when you cut the curd of the cheese, instead of having it in a size, imagine a piece of rice, you have it big as a corn, and that makes the difference of the pasture of the cheese. That's always in hand of the cheesemaker. That makes the difference.
It sounds like you've got to have a massive attention to detail. Like everything from when you milk the cow based on what season of the year it is, depending on where they spend their time, as you mentioned, to the fat quantity in the milk. That sounds like far too much attention to detail, at least for me. How much attention to detail does it realistically take to, because it's handcrafted, that must mean there are more chances for variation, I suppose. I could be wrong in saying that. But then if there's a slight difference, it then makes a difference at the end. How much attention to detail do you need? It sounds there's so much potential for variety and change and things potentially to go wrong as well. If you aim for a particular way of it looking at the end, some shift in timing or amounts, let's say, if that can make a difference, you've got to be so focused and so concentrated in how you do it.
We're focused on quality. We're focused on these expertise that has been passed or given from generation to generation since 1115. So the first quality control that we do is checking the milk when it comes into by the cheesemakers. So understand 900 milk producer that delivers milk twice a day. Every single delivery has a test. It means that from every single milk delivery, we will keep during 6 months a part in laboratorium to follow the quality of that milk. So starting with high quality milk, the cows that will produce milk for the Gruyère AOP are only fed on what we call natural forage fresh grass in summer and hay in winter. There's no additive, there's no ensilage, and we use mostly Holstein, red Holstein cows to find this milk quality. So raw milk, that makes a taste difference. There is no what we called anonymous milk. As I told you, every single milk is tracked, and there's something important. No antibiotics for our milking cows. So no GMO feed, as Switzerland has banned GMO crops couple years ago. So from the very basic, it makes the quality. So we're tracking first the quality of the milk. Then we go to the production. and this production is followed by hand, the handmade. When the morning milk is merged with the evening milk into the copper, we use copper vat. We need to have a certain procedure to bring into temperature. How we'll eat up the milk to bring it to what we call curding, and then it's only the hand of the cheese master that will allow to know at what time we can cut that curd, mix the milk, and again there's a quality control at that time with a certain quantity that is put on the side. From there on, once we've put that part into mold to do the wheels of cheese, we start with what we call the DNA of the cheesemakers. And the first DNA is the salt bath. To bring taste to cheese, you need salt. Salt is also a conservation point of view. And there we need to have a traceability. So it means that every single piece of Gruyère AOP, each wheel that is pressed will receive a mark, a casein mark with the date, the number of the wheel, the cheesemakers. So it brings the traceability. And from there on, that cheese that I haven't called a Gruyère is stored in a cellar, and that's the cellar of the cheesemakers. And as it's an alive product, it will bring different kind of bacteria that bring the real DNA of that cheese. That cheese will stay during 3 months by the cheese makers, and it will receive every single day first the first, not medical, but it will receive all the attention of the cheesemaker during 3 weeks, and everything is made by hand. So it's followed by the ants, by human, by nose. Everything has a certain importance. And once it leaves the cheese dairies, it will go to what we call a maturation, to an affinage cellar, and will stay for another three months, with a temperature around 59 degrees Fahrenheit. And during this time, the wheels have to stay on a typical kind of piece of wood called epicea that will brings also, it will makes, you have to understand that when a cheese is maturing, it needs oxygen. So there is a compensation of oxygen that will be the result of this typical smell of ammoniac that we have in our cellars. Very, very strong ammoniac. But it's just that's the procedure, and that means it's a living product. And these affinage last in total between 5 and 18 months. So yes, quality has a certain cost. Quality has a certain engagement from human, and all these processes that we have are supported by technical engines or support, but there's always there's always a human decision behind that. Otherwise, it would be just what I call a normal product that you'll find in a normal supermarket that has the same taste. And there's lots of people interested in having every single day the same taste, the same cheese, and not mentioning or not naming those, we'll find them easily under pre-packed product. Our Gruyère, our cheese, our product has always the same specification. You'll find the same pasta, the same paste of cheese, but you'll always find something different that makes it related to enjoy something that is related with handmade.
Am I right in saying then that it's the 18 months would be from start to finish? How long does it take to create, let's say, a wheel of cheese or one run of cheese?
So one wheel of cheese is made every morning. Every single cheese maker make is wheel of cheese in the morning. So it takes approximately 2 to 3 hours to convert milk into a wheel of cheese. That's no more. What takes time is the time to bring this cheese to refining and maturation. And this, as you know, time brings quality. So that's the way. That's what we have to respect. And I think it's the same with some nice, interesting piece of meat, nice person, nice wine. The older, the wiser you get, or the better you get. Some persons sometimes show a difference, but let's say that's the way. That's time. Times brings quality. Times bring taste. Slowly, surely. No, with no time shock, with no temperature shock. Keep it. Keep this maturation refining. Give the right time to the product.
Do you do anything to help you, I guess, be patient with the process? If you want something quicker, that will affect the result as well. You must be quite a patient company, patient team, being able to say, right, well, it might be quite quick in terms of milk to cheese, but then waiting for it to be just the right maturation to then sell it or put it to somebody to eat it, that must take some patience or a bit of a waiting game. Or is it at a stage where, because you're making a wheel of cheese a day, you don't necessarily notice the time go by because you're still busy making the cheese as well? So what is it like to do that?
That's a result of passion. That's a result of passion, passions, and passion. And it's also the procedure. It's been defined as a procedure. And we know that very young cheese doesn't exhale or bring the entire flavor that we're looking into the cheese. Um, Patient means also money, because taking time is cost. Everything that you keep in the cellar cost. And that probably helps to understand a price positioning of AOP products, of a Gruyère AOP, because it takes time to get to quality. And if you want cheap, if we talk about money, you get the quality for your money. And at the end, if you consider that you need that many patience and passion, that many quantities of milk, that much time, and to bring it to that quality, if you compare that to an industrial product where there is less, because I'm not going to say there's no human, but where there's much more robotics, or it's just a push on an on-off button. And if the market says, well, it's growing, and your shareholders are saying, well, produce more, you'll be producing more. That can't be the fact with the Gruyère AOP. Because back to the very, very, very beginning of our talk, I said something important. It's related to nature. It's a cow. And those cows, you don't come up in the morning and say, well, we want more, produce more. They will decide based on what the nature is given, and based on a weather situation, based on many different climatic situation. So also related with an AOP and a protected area. I mean, we can't push up the borders. It's not that we can suddenly bring milk from another states, or buy a container of milk somewhere around. That's impossible. We can't. So it's patient, it's time, passion, and it's a procedure that defines that before 5 months in this slow maturation process, it's impossible. You can't find a Gruyere on the market that is not at least refined for 5 months.
What kind of things do you get up to outside of cheese? Do you have any hobbies? I know the recording today is on the road, so you're traveling. So I know that you're quite big on traveling as well. But what kind of things do you do outside of cheese?
As a Swiss citizen, um, my first hobby is nature, and related to nature is skiing. You know, I'm one of those passionate ski person. Then I have a big patience called human, not humanity, but human, to understand where people are coming from, and to respect the different cultures all around the world because we're all different. I have a big passion in music, big passion, and from there on, there's something that overrules all this as a passion is my family, my kids. And as you said, a big traveler like me, not hobby traveler, but business traveler, I deeply believe that when you have the possibility of sharing time with your family and sharing some good food, sharing good time, and it goes through food, because good food is not what I call expensive food. Good food is probably also the ambience and the time you put in doing something, slow cooking food. And there's a lot of things that we underestimate today with food and cooking. So I have a passion, as you can understand, or you can hear, with cooking, especially slow, long cooking food. And it always shocks my family back in Montana, back where I live. When I come and say, well, let's do some beef cheeks. Beef cheeks first. What the hell is this? Beef cheeks. Well, you need to cook it during 5, 6 hours, and to cook it with slowly and marinate. Say, well, come on, Dennis. Let's go down to, I'm not going to name the name. I'm not going to name any hamburger place, but I said, no, that's not food. So yeah, passion is cooking, passion is food, skiing, nature, traveling the world, understanding where we are from, where we go. It makes the mixture. And I'm passionate in literature and languages, as you can hear it. English is not my mother tongue, but it's one of the 5 languages I do speak, that I try or I believe that I can some English, but actually my mother tongue is French and German, and then we speak Italian at home and have some knowledge of Spanish and English. Here we go. So those are my passion.
When was the last time you had any fast food then? It sounds like you're definitely against it. How long has it been?
Um, I don't know. I don't
A
know.
long time.
A long time ago, even that, I think, and I'm one of the example that I wanted to bring some culture into the fast food industry back in Switzerland, and I made with one of those. There are two big names, huh? There's one that is starting with Mac, and there's the other one finishing with King, right? So let's say it's the second one. Um, because I believe the first one was not ready for. So we made a specific Swiss burger with AOP product. So it's a way also to show that fast food. It's not the fast food that does disturb me. It's much more the junk food, because fast food can be healthy and good, and we have some examples of fast fooding in the US that's healthy. I'm just fighting about and against the junk food of eating and cooking. So last time I've been back into one of those fast food company, well, probably 20 years ago.
what kind of things do you tend to do to help you relax? Because I hear that you're pretty big on meditating as well. Like you're quite passionate about that and keeping yourself healthy. So, what kind of practices do you do for that?
Michael, 5 years ago, I went through a stroke. And in your life experience, you usually when you do your business plan, when you do a business plan that you show to your shareholders, you're talking about return on investment, growing the value of the share, bringing happiness to shareholders, and you talk about return, ROI, COGS, or whatever, but you never put in your business plan or in your private business plan, well, with 45 I'm going to be ill and I'm going to have a stroke, I'm going to have cancer, and I'm going to disappear. Never, never, never. If anyone around this world has done that, please call me and let me know what made you,
Yeah.
what brought you to this. But when it happens, and it happens to lots of people, you suddenly faced to something that you don't know where it's coming from. You have explanation, and I know why. You suddenly decide, or to look at it a bit different. And through my recovery time, that I always say, it's probably the best experience I had in my life. The thing was that it was a gift for me. It was a gift to have a stroke. It's just that the gift wrapping paper was wrong. And from there on, taking 18 months of your life suddenly to recover gives you a chance to see the thing differently, to discover people differently. And I took it as a chance, or I took that 18 months of my life as my job. And suddenly my job was to look look out the clouds, waiting that the time goes through, and to understand what we call the instant of this precise moment. That for a person like me, very moving around the world, managing companies and things, was impossible to understand. Just to stop 2 minutes, and suddenly I was staying on bench, not moving anymore. And I discovered what they called meditation. And for me, the very beginning of meditation was like, what the is this? It's like, come on, it's like a big part of people just dreaming of something not existing. And I started to be interested in the way different culture were using meditation to open their mind, to to go to places that is not describable by just, I don't want to go into any sector way of thinking, but it suddenly helped me to slow down, to to rest, to find solution in napping very quickly. And I do today, with respect to my teachers and my mentors, I do practice deep meditation. That is a very interesting way of just leaving a part of your body, discovering things that it's not artificial organic products that will help you. It's just your mind that brings you to places where you want to go. So I do practice Watsu. Watsu is water shiatsu. It's practicing. It's a meditation as practiced with a giver that will float you on water, and you will discover the different elements. And yeah, I think then it probably goes to a very personal part, but it is something that anyone has the capacity or the ability, if they want to do. It's just to discover yourself, who you are, and to help you to help you feeling better.
I found that the more, I guess, switched on I get, sometimes it can be harder to really prepare for the meditation. Like it can take me 10, 20 minutes to get to a
Mhm.
state that could take me 2 minutes if it was relaxed to start with. Do you have any particular things that you do to get ready for the meditation? Because a lot of people can spend longer than the meditation to prepare for it and to actually calm down and slow their breathing down, that sort of thing. Do you have any tricks for that? Any tips for people that maybe struggle to relax?
Breathing method, empty your lung, start to understand that your lung contains oxygen that you just stock there, that you should empty, that you should push. It's not pushing a limit, but just starting with breathing exercise, and you know, breathing will allow you to go to meditation very quick. So start with this if you're a novice, and there's lots of books, there's lots of people willing to help, and then it's a personal thing, um, you know, and it's not a competition. Meditation is not a competition. Meditation is just you and yourself, and you're facing yourself. So great if you get into deep meditation in 20 seconds, but it's not a competition. And competition brought me personally to what I called before to a stroke. So meditation works, and sometimes you're not related to always the good and the right energies, but that's another matter. It's getting connected. And the first thing to go into meditation is to be connected with yourself. And connected with yourself means you need to be connected with the ground. And the ground is your definition. You can call it what you want. You can call it ground, you can call it planet, you can call it sun, you can call it warm, you can call it family. Just get, really put and stuck on get connected with yourself. And from there on, you'll probably discover a lot of things that you've never experienced before, or that some people have experienced. But as I call it, some of those products are illegal. It's not the topic of the day, isn't it?
Well, Dennis, it's been fantastic to have you on the show as a guest. It's been great. If people wanted to find out more about yourself, the keys, and so much more, where can people learn more?
Anytime. I mean, I'll be more than happy to to keep on that talk and to explain more. But as I always say, 45 minutes for a person that is 55 is a very short time. And traveling 58 countries around the world, different experiences. You can't summarize all these in 45 minutes. It'll take us a long, 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 long time. The, the thing to keep about, and that's something that that will probably come back to the very beginning. Um, I've been working along and among big brands and big industries, but once you found the chance to defend, because it's really defending a product with a brand that is related with tradition, with you, and with what you think about sustainability, I do say that is first of all is a big chance to be an ambassador, a brand ambassador, to promote the product, to promote the Gruyère AOP. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is, once you found a job you like, you'll never feel like working. And that's my feeling today. I'm not working. I'm just passionate about saying is 6,000 people, and the king is the product. And that's something is great with our brand, with our product, is that we don't have stars, we don't have influencers, we don't have brand ambassadors. We just have a product that is the king. And it's not my last word, but that's what I want to say. The king is Le Gruyère AOP, and it's not me or other people. It's just 6,000 people that every day works to bring this product and to make this product.
How can people find about the cheese? Is it's got a website, you on social media, and then people might want to check out, your social media as well.
For sure. I mean, we are very present on SoMe and all channels in the US, TikTok, Insta, Facebook, and so on. We have our website that brings to incredible recipe that you can use every day, simple and accessible on gruyere.com, Gruyere.com. And everything is in relation with what I try to present today. You'll have the way of producing it, the way of cooking it, a definition, a presentation of the procedures, all the markets we are present. You find all the global information on our website.
Thanks so much for being a guest on the show. Those that are listening, feel free to subscribe, share the show, tell others, and also leave a review wherever you are listening into your podcasts. Denis, thanks so much for joining me, and I look forward to keeping in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. That was a great pleasure.